Hey, good morning, everybody. Pastor Zach getting to spend some time with you this morning, as always, for a weekly discussion. It is time, well, as most of the time for the weekly discussion. As always, it is an opportunity for you to ask questions, share some thoughts, concerns, questions, share where you're at today. What does it look like? Take a picture, show us where you are whenever you find this, whether it's at work, whether it's just don't do it while you're driving. Whether it's at home, what is it that you are seeing as you connect with us today? And I think that's important for us to remember the ability to connect, the ways that we connect with one another, how we interact, how we engage with one another, and what does that mean for us? I posted last week where there was the story, this little thing that, this notion of, if someone bumps you and spills coffee, why was it that the coffee was spilled? It's not because someone bumped you, it's because you had coffee in your cup. And so the question is, what do we carry? And while it may seem silly or trivial, I found it really powerful in the last week or so. What does it mean to spill out what we carry? How does what we carry affect us, affect others, affect the world around us, affect how we respond when that gets bumped and something spills out? What does it look like for us? I got to spend some time with a colleague, friend, mentor of mine this past weekend. It was great. I got to go to a church that I had served for a very short time when I was in college. And it's been almost 20 years, over 20 years. And I got to see all of the work and all of the transition that had taken place in there. And it was just really powerful to see how much was the same, yet how much was really different. And got to talk to the pastor there of how things were going. And it it strikes me about this willingness, this opportunity of what is it that we carry? Do we carry light? Do we carry pain? Do we carry struggle? Do we carry animosity? What is it that we carry? And when bumped, when pushed, what comes out? What do we see spill out? I think it's important for us to remember that, but also to recognize that sometimes what spills out isn't our best. It's not who we are always, but sometimes just who we are in that moment when we are tired and exhausted and worn and weary. And that may be the last thing that pushes us, the last thing that we can hold without spilling. But the reality is, the joy is that we can refill that cup. And that cup can overflow purposefully with the good stuff, with that stuff that we might not want to be in that cup. We can work on pouring more and more in that pushes that out that we don't want in there. It's not easy. It's not quick. It's not simple. It takes a vulnerability, a willingness to have a mindset, to live into that, to be challenged by that, and to find new ways each and every day to refill that cup that gets jostled around throughout the day, that may seem to break down. But the reality is that cup is stronger than we realize, because we're not the only ones holding it. I'm reminded often of scripture where St. Paul writes, the Romans, that the Spirit will intercede for us, and I love this language, with sighs too deep for words. that God is there in our pain and our struggle, and is there with us when we don't know the words, and sometimes the Spirit doesn't know either, to just breathe with it and breathe through it with us. I stated a couple weeks ago in a sermon on November 5th that the only way to go through difficult situations is to do that, to go through them. We can't ignore them for long. We can't hide from them. We can't pretend that they just aren't important, because they deeply affect the rest of our lives. They deeply affect our relationships. And just like that analogy that I started with this morning about holding that cup, it can overflow that cup. And what spills out isn't what we want and isn't who we want to be. But we have an opportunity. Because not only is the Spirit walking with us to hold that cup, but there are others too. Those who we hold dear, those who we are able to care for and who care for us, they allow us to hold that cup and give us strength when needed. And so it's a reminder that sometimes we need to check what's in our cup. Sometimes we need to remember to put the good stuff in and put it in so that all of that other stuff can be pushed out. But to realize that we won't get it all, and that there may be occasion where that starts to take over. Happens to us all. But we have an opportunity, an ownness, a promise, a hope that we don't go through this alone. Whether the joy or the challenge, the struggle or those highest of heights, we don't do that alone. We don't get there alone. In order for us to be in community, because we are social creatures, we need that community. We need to live together. We need to abide together. We need to walk together. And sometimes we need to stumble together. But we walk because we are going through it together. Through those joyful times and through those challenging times, it invites us to see what it means for the now. And realizing that those now times aren't permanent, but we can be changed. The world can be changed if we just seek to fill our cup. And then when ours is full, to be willing to pour some of that goodness, that joy, that hope, that promise, that grace, that compassion, all of that stuff that is overflowing from our cup into others that we meet, so that when we stumble or get bumped into, what comes out of our cup isn't just coffee or struggle, but hope, because that's where we find it. I want to thank you all for spending some time with me today, this morning. I hope that made sense. I hope it was able to impact you in some way. I encourage you, if it did, to share it, to comment below, to ask questions. As always, it's an opportunity for you to share some questions. If you want something specific for me to talk about some Tuesday morning, I invite you to share that too, and I will work on that. I doubt I will be on next week, because next week I'm going to share my joy with you, is that my niece went into boot camp 3 months ago and is now graduating next Tuesday morning as a Marine. She chose that because it was the hardest and she got through it. And I am just so proud of her. So we are going down there to offer our support, to help her fill her cup, and to celebrate with her. So I do not believe I will be on, because at this point next week, we will be in the midst of her graduation process. But I want to wish you all a wonderful Thanksgiving. If I don't see some of you, I invite you to join with us this Sunday online or on site at 8:30 and 10:30 to share where you are thankful, where you find joy, how you fill your cup, how you struggle to fill your cup. Again, share a photo of where you are now when this finds you. And I encourage you to help continue to share in community with us. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. God bless. We'll see you soon.